Hello, I'm Congressman Don Young, and I want to thank Kodiak Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to have this video. Uh, my staff is going to ask me some questions. I'll answer them. Hope they'll be the questions that you have an interest in, because it's important we keep communicating with one another. So my staff now will ask the first question.
Why did you introduce SOS 2.0 in the House, and how will this legislation help Alaska?
Well, for those who don't know, the legislation actually started with Dan Sullivan. I introduced the same bill. He passed it out of the Senate. It comes over to the House. We have sent it back to the Senate now because this is probably one of the most important issues that will affect Kodiak or all our coastal community, and it's called trash. We actually dump in, I think, every minute a full dump load of plastics into our ocean. And this is a bill to try to attempt to reduce that amount and make sure that we have maybe recycling aspects and we start cleaning up our ocean. That means that our fish won't be contaminated. Right now we're finding out through science that some of the plastics are deteriorating and the fish are eating them. There's been some speculation it may cause the smallest of size. I don't know. But I know this, having plastics in the ocean is bad, and that's what this bill does. It corrects the trash problem, it begins the cleaning up, and it'll be successful for the state of Alaska and the rest of the nation too.
What is being done to help the seafood industry?
Seafood industry in Alaska was really hit hard by the pandemic and by the way the taxes. We're working on that. We were able to, the senators and ourselves, to see the USDA make relief funding available for Alaska fishermen through the Seafood Trade Relief Program. That will give us about $250,000 relief to a person or legal entity, a community, and is meant to help small people. So we're working on this. The trade issue was a big one. The USDA now, they'll recognize that the loss of trade, the increased taxes, and the pandemic are all tied together on the health of the fishing industry in Alaska. When it first CARES Act first came out, you weren't eligible. The senators and myself made it a program that the Alaskan fishermen and fishing industry were eligible. But we can't just live off of handouts from the government. We have to get our industry actively involved in not only harvesting, processing, but also delivering to other countries or the best market. We shouldn't be impeded. That's what we're working on, to make sure there's a fairness to this doctrine, and your markets are increased and not decreased by action of the federal government. So we're very much well aware, because your information, what has to be done, and we're going to continue to do it as a delegation.
What has Congress done to help fishermen during the pandemic?
Well, the CARES Act was big. That's what Congress has done, and again, the delegation did a great job. Alaska raised $50 million of the $300 million in the CARES Act. We probably could have got more, should have got more, but we got what I think was a good stroke forth, and we're continuing to do that. So Congress is very much aware. Our delegation, this delegation, is very cognizant of the fishing industry. I'm suggesting respectfully that we have to also address other issues within the fishing industry. Again, why aren't fish running? Why are some smaller? All those things we have to work through NOAA and through our private science to make sure that we have a continued renewable resource for the benefit of Alaskan fishermen and fishing processors.
What do you think about NOAA canceling their surveys in Alaska?
When NOAA canceled their surveys, it really caused me a great deal of anguish. I think it was wrong. They've got the money. We appropriated the money. They're going to have a difficult time getting that appropriations next time because I don't think they've done their job. I even suggested if they didn't want to do the job because of the pandemic, then they ought to contract it out to the fishermen. This is not rocket science. They are the fishermen. They know what they're catching. They can do this through video if they wish to do so the accounting is correct. Have the surveys done. If NOAA is afraid of the pandemic, then let the fishermen do it, because this affects the future catching. This affects the management for the council, for the allocations. So I have told NOAA that I'm not happy. And no, you're not happy, so we're going to look forth and see, maybe, just maybe, we'll do it my way. And that's have the fishermen do it themselves if they don't have the courage to do it their own. So NOAA right now is not on my good list.
Do you support finfish aquaculture?
No, finfish, farming finfish in our waters is never going to happen as long as I stay in Congress. Just keep that in mind because it would destroy our wild fish concept. There are those that say we have to produce it. I do not want that to happen to our Alaskan fish. It would decrease the price, it would decrease the uniquity of it. And I am working very, I've told them to stay away from it. It actually came from NOAA and the Department of Commerce because we do import an awful lot of fish product. Okay, that is well and good, but I say you protect what we have, promote what we have, encourage what we have, increase what we have. We'll have a lot of protein, but we'll have a good, clean fish. Now, if they want to raise gooey ducks and oysters and all these other things, I'm all for it. When they use our estuaries to do that, I'm good. But when it comes to finfish, no, it's not going to happen. I'll continue to work sure it doesn't happen. I've introduced that, and I'll keep the Finfish Free Act. It's my bill. Got a lot of support, a lot of West Coast support. So we're making progress on that issue. I'm hoping that through my work with my appropriating friends, that if NOAA keeps pushing, the Department of Commerce keeps pushing this issue, including Alaska. I say, you want to do it in the Gulf of Mexico, you can. I don't really care. But don't do it in Alaska. Wild Alaskan salmon is the best-selling fish and the best fish for America. So we're going to keep that. That's my position. I hope you understand it, and I do believe we'll be successful.
Please speak to the Alaska ferry system and touch on what you've done to support it throughout your career and what actions can be taken in the future.
You know, the ferry system is a very complex issue. It should be solved, and we can be solved. When you ask what I've done for the ferry system, I'm a little bit disappointed because when I was chairman, we put the money in, call it a federal highway. And we had a lot of money. It goes to the ferry system through the state transportation committee or department, and that's been somewhat successful. I believe where the ferry system has failed, we didn't maintain or upgrade our fleet. We spent money because we had oil money, and we didn't recognize that this is a utility, and we haven't really taken care of it. So we got a bunch of old ferries. We got an old system that's being run by the Department of Transportation. They have done a very poor job. And I'm arguing, I've told all over Southeast and everywhere, we got to change the management system. I believe it, very frankly, like the railroad. We would have an ability to make it a better running operation. And, some people don't like that idea. They want to stay as they are, but it's not going to be continually financed by the federal government. This is a state system. I got the money to call it a federal highway system. And to maintain that, we have to start operating the ferry system. And that means another education program. The biggest challenge we have in the state legislative body that they don't really care about the ferry system, very frankly, because they are not served by the ferry system according to themselves. I'm arguing that ferry system maintains and it should be supported by everybody in Alaska. As things come into Alaska, leave Alaska, the ferry system has to be included. Now, some people say, well, why don't we just use air? Well, that's not a realistic approach. I'm arguing let's go and remanage it. Let's put some money in it. Let's, in fact, let's think about maybe have a fund set up statewide that supports the ferry system. Although the main supporters are those that do not have highway contact, it does affect the highway system. And I get really disturbed, very frankly, when I see people get in a car and drive from Anchorage to Fairbanks or Fairbanks to Anchorage, and they don't think that's subsidized. It is subsidized, and they don't pay anything. So I'm just suggesting we ought to look at the management system, we ought to finance it correctly, have a concept of delivering services to the communities that don't have highways. And we can do it if we just get off our duffs to do it. I want to thank you for having me on this vision or this film or this Zoom or this TV. I don't know what it is. But I do thank you for inviting me. I hope you appreciated my answers because we do have a challenge in this great state of ours. I'm willing to serve and take and provide solutions for you. If you have the solutions, bring them to me and we'll get it done. I do thank the Kodiak Chamber of Commerce.